Doug MPA back with another video. Make sure to hit the like and subscribe button on the way in. I really appreciate it. It shows you support me and the content on this channel. So I'm going to keep my series about men going into female-dominated spaces going because you always hear the other side, women going into male-dominated spaces and how hard they have it, but no one really covers this side. So I'm going to do it. I found an Australian university article. It's called It's a Man's World, or Is It? What It's Like for Men in Female-Dominated Industries. And I had to say this is an Australian university because I'm an American, right? And from the news I've seen, Australia is a misandrist, man-hating wasteland. Okay, I'm sure it's a beautiful country. I do plan on visiting there one day, but dating down there has to be awful for men. Marriage, family court has to be awful for men. If you're Australian and you're listening to this, please leave in the comments what it's like as a man dating down there, or have you been married down there? Have you been divorced? So you can dispel some of my ignorance because I want to visit there, but dating down there or marriage, guys, I wouldn't do it in Australia if I was you. So let's get into this article. Once again, it's called It's a Man's World, or Is It? What It's Like for Men in Female-Dominated Industries. While many workplaces have come a long way in terms of improving gender diversity, most of the attention is focused on improving career opportunities for women. And that is true. There's another set of workers that tend to get left out of the discussion. Men who want to break into industries typically crowded with women. In healthcare and social assistance, for example, women make up 79% of employees, and in education and training, 73%. That doesn't shock me, guys. Most education majors in most countries are women. In most, social services, social work, psychology are women. So if you're a man wanting to join a female-dominated industry, say teaching or nursing, it's natural you might have a few questions. We have to face certain stigmas or challenges. Will it feel weird or uncomfortable being the only or one of few men on staff? And what are the potential advantages and disadvantages of being in the minority? So they start off with a good one. The advantage of being a male kindergarten teacher. At just 2.7% of the workforce, men in early childhood education are something of an endangered species. That comes with pros and cons, says two Deakin academics who have previously taught in preschools. The first positive, I got work easily. On a pile of applicants, I stand out, says Max Grarok, a former kindergarten teacher and current student at Deakin, completing a PhD in education. While he was only one of 3 men during his own university studies, later he was usually the only male kindergarten teacher on staff. Kindergarten workplaces are fairly small workplaces, so I often forgot that it was weird, Grok says. I work for a large council, but used to employ all the kindergarten teachers, and I would be reminded every year when they'd have an all-staff meeting, and there'd be about 100 staff across the centers, that I was the only man. Grok says men in the sector sometimes complain about how hard they get it. I actually think that's just wrong. If anything, we get it easy. I mean, there's some awkwardness. It's not to say there aren't some things that make it difficult. There's also a lot of things that, because of the unequal way genders are treated by society, actually make the work easier for us. One example, he says, it's pretty standard for a kindergarten teacher to be questioned by a child's family over their play-based teaching methods. It's uncommon for a parent to challenge a kindergarten teacher, why aren't you teaching my child anything? And then the response becomes, well, this is how children learn at this age. I think I never really got hassled along that to the same level as most of my female colleagues, because as a man, when I say this is how learning happens, I get unfairly listened to better. Okay, so maybe if this is one positive, these parents are still going to question why you're a man that wants to be around their kids, the staff, the parents, the administration. And if anything happens at all, you are guilty until proven innocent. So you have to do all the regular duties of a teacher, and then you have to constantly assure people that you're not some, not a person that wants to take advantage of little kids. Why would you take that on? And I said it in my previous video about male teachers. Guys, you couldn't pay me enough to be a teacher. First off, because they really don't pay teachers enough. And second off, guys, imagine you're a teacher and you go you go into a club and you see a somewhat attractive woman and you walk up to her, introduce yourself, and you say that you're a teacher. She's going to laugh you out of the room. She's going to walk away from you. I didn't write the rules on this, guys. This is just the reality that we're in. And so I would imagine I've had friends that have done substitute teaching, and they said that there are a lot of single female teachers. So maybe as a male teacher, you could date another teacher and maybe marry one, but then you can't meet women at work anymore. You want to get M2'd at work hitting on other teachers? Exactly. Anyway, let's get back to this. Gender stereotypes in female-dominated industries. Dr. Llewellyn Wishart, a lecturer in education at Deakin, spent many years working in childcare programs in preschools across Victoria. Largely, he was comfortable working with mostly women. However, at times, his colleagues and families treated him differently. I think some of the women in the cohort were more sort of scratching their heads like, what is this bloke doing here? Then you get this strange othering experience of, oh, it's so great that there's men going into this profession. Isn't that wonderful? Can you imagine how patronizing that is? Dr. Wishart says he would have rather been judged on the quality of his work and the interactions rather than his gender. If you're a man working in childhood education, then you're the one who's going to do all the rough and tumble play, and you'll be the one doing the woodworking outdoors, and you'll be the one hauling the wheelbarrow, he says. Guys, remember my video about men sharing their stories about being in female-dominated spaces, and they had the 5 instances, and number 5 was being the physical labor all the time. That's exactly what happens to these teachers. You have to do all the heavy lifting. You have to do the shop work. You have to do the wood cutting. You have to do all that stuff. There's going to be 50 women there, and then you're the only person doing all the heavy lifting. Why is that? It's just how it is. And sometimes people who are working in the field who happen to be male, they may have other strengths, other skills, and talents which make a difference. The most difficult aspect for both Dr. Wishart and Garak was the unfortunate fact that some families are suspicious of male kindergarten teachers. There it is, guys. There it is. I think they think there's something weird about a bloke who decides to do that for a job. They don't want their child exposed to that, Garak says. While he understands that parents want to protect their children, he says it's pretty insulting when it is implied about you. There it is. You are a walking, talking suspicion all the time. And if anything happens, it's over for you. Just don't even bother, guys. Teaching, no. Some advice to bear in mind. The advice for others thinking of entering a female-dominated industry, don't enter a sector like that with aims to be a reformer, Garak says. You think you're going to be brilliant. There's hardly any blokes, but there's a long history of really important women who created the knowledge base that underpins that sector. Dr. Wishart says men contribute to the diversity of any workplace and bring different strengths. He hopes to make a difference, partly just by being living proof that such a career path is possible for men. So I'm going to say one other thing. You see this here? He says, don't enter a sector like this with the aims to be a reformer. How many women that enter male spaces have that type of sentiment? So as a man, you're supposed to enter female spaces, just exist and go with the flow. But women can go into male-dominated spaces and try to change everything around. It's BS. No, I would never be a teacher, guys. If you're a male teacher and you're listening to this, I give you a lot of props. I would never disrespect you, but I'm not the one. Comment about this below, like, subscribe, and I will catch you on the next one.